honestly, M3 need to be aggressive early. Don't let it get to team fights, and the support's important with that.
Oh, so important. And it seemed to me like when Savoki can group with the team around the late game, really get the fights going in their favor, then it seems to work out. But Corki going to be the first ban. Raphael getting a little bit of focus here as Rai's going to leave the Rift and Gangplank to follow. So some standard bans after the Corki, but I've been seeing him sitting on the bench a little bit more often this week, Rusty, the old Corki.
It's kind of interesting. I feel like everyone is starting to catch on to the fact that Corki is a very good mid laner and or AD carry to boot.
Yeah.
So that package, if you actually use it to engage or you separate a team fight, it's an unpassable terrain just because of how much damage it does, not because you can't walk over it. Let's be reasonable. But of course, taking that away from Raphael, who has had a lot of success on that champion thus far, is a smart decision.
Yeah, smart decision. Speaking of which, Lulu is going to be the next thing removed from QG, but the Nidalee was banned, and here's the Rek'Sai ban at the same time. So, QG,
Graves.
you have to think about a different jungler, and it looks like they are a little bit pigeonholed into that Graves.
But why not?
Exactly.
I don't think there's a reason not to pick the Graves at the moment. The response would be Elise. You would have to imagine here from YOLO. He's got an Elise game played.
Or, go full MLXG and just pick the Elise into it.
He could, definitely. So could Swift.
Yeah, either way. Few options. Kindred's there as well if they wanted to go double sort of ranged jungler.
I think the big thing to me is always going to stand out as the Alistar / Lissandra in the first rotation. I've said this a hell of a lot, but that's just because as a first rotation, you don't reveal your hand, and they're always going to be strong and relevant champions. But with the jungle bans that are on the table at the moment, Xiaogu might have a plan to focus that jungle with their first pick and get it on Swift.
Yeah, and Swift has had some pretty impressive Graves performances himself, so may as well lock that one away. Of course, now Alistar Lissandra is there for Masters 3 if they want to grab it. Alistar does make a bit of sense. He's been first pick a lot throughout both weeks here of the LPL.
Yeah.
But Lissandra does make a lot of sense as well. Trundle's there at the same time. They can flex that between Savoki and XY, but I actually don't like Savoki playing anything other than something that can hard engage.
Trundle's got a unique perk, I would say, but if they go for the Alistar, then naturally will be the hard engaged tool, where Trundle can be flexed then into the top lane for XY. But it also, by picking Trundle in the first rotation with Alistar, removes the flex capabilities generally. So you might look towards a jungle pick with the Trundle, or they could just straight up commit to the strategy and reveal their hand with confidence.
Yeah. Well, YOLO could, he could play, jungle cow or jungle troll. Who knows? But I have a feeling that you're exactly right. So a little bit telegraphed on the side of M3, but definitely taking away some power picks. QG with a lot of options now on their side, and they can fashion a team around that top lane Trundle as well. We'll see whether we see a few more of those mages moving around the Rift, whether Lissandra are going to be heading towards the top lane. They might grab the LeBlanc there for Doinby as well.
And the question now for QG is what roles do they honestly just want to lock in?
Yeah.
They know they've got a Trundle in a top lane, and it could very easily go for perhaps the Nautilus that he does ever so love. The other idea that they could put in place is knowing there is an Alistar, just lock in Misfortune Braum or something to that extent. Even the Ezreal that Pekko plays could be worth considering at the moment.
It does seem to be either Ezreal or Misfortune if Pekko is going to be jumping onto the Rift at the moment. And Doinby, I'd wonder why he'd step away from that LeBlanc, because he's been so incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Had a great Varus game as well. And I mean, QG do need to worry a little bit about that Kassadin counterpick, but Doinby's already demonstrated that he just doesn't care.
Basically does not care at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're going to lock that one in. The Ezreal also takes away from PentaQ, and the Corki being banned kind of removes a lot of the primary strategy that M3 have put in place, which is that mid-game poke and power spike type of team composition. Doinby, he's actually disrespecting here. Blind picking his mid lane and it being a LeBlanc.
Yeah, you can see on his face as well. He's like just having a grin, not too worried about
I
it.
got this.
Doesn't even want to lock it in. He's just taking his time.
See you guys after the draft when I lock in what I want.
Yep, I have a feeling that this is going to be locked away though. The LeBlanc for Doinby. And I just love watching him play when he's ahead on this champion. I don't think there's anyone who plays LeBlanc as cheekily as Doinby.
Is it just me, or has this been like the longest lock-in time in existence?
Yeah, I
feel like it's locked twice.
For ages, yeah. I don't know, man.
It's a bit weird.
And maybe everyone else is like, why is this timer so long? Never mind, it is going to be the LeBlanc though, as the locking key was not found, but thankfully...
I thought so.
Aha!
Yeah.
All right, well, that's a Malphite and a Pantheon. Okay. Well, if there was anything that we'd probably want to have some time to talk about, Rusty, I'd probably say that a Malphite Pantheon lock-in would be something that we'd want to have some time to discuss.
Where are you going? What is happening?
All right,
Pantheon jungle.
No.
AP Malphite mid lane. Or Pantheon mid.
I want the Pantheon
Trundle
mid
jungle.
cheese. I want the Pantheon
I think
mid
we
cheese
had a
so
buck.
bad. Oh, yeah, I think we may have as well. So we may be redoing this. I really, really hope that we get the Malphite Pantheon again, though. Although I have a strange feeling in my gut that we're not going to.
A part of me believes that since we've lost our champion select overlay, something has in fact gone wrong, and we're going to remedy this issue.
Chago, like, they've instantly forfeited. They saw the Pantheon lock-in, and Doimby's like, all right, no, don't want to do this in the mid lane. We'll give this one up. Yeah, you'll see that the teams will be on different sides now. They'll just be a little one above M3. QG is thinking, okay, this is awful.
Yeah, I was wondering why that took so long to lock in LeBlanc.
Immediate Pantheon.
I could swear it went
Malphite
to
bans.
0 before it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, so we have seen some part of the draft thus far.
We have.
And there are, of course, a couple of things to mention. What stands out the most to me is that M3 are entirely respecting Swift by banning 2 of his champions, but they've also given him the first pick of Graves. It says to me that M3 are quite confident in picking against the Graves. They might have their strategies for it, ways to beat it. And basically, it does reveal a strategy quite early by gifting them this Graves. And you've basically revealed your own strategy by picking your first 2 champions in Alistar and Trundle.
Yeah, and the league of flex picks that we've spoken about before, I mean, the Trundle often used for that, but now sort of not having that option at all with the Alistar being picked alongside does mean that QG, they know a lot about what M3 are sort of going for here.
It's a cute dynamic, though, between flexing and denying.
Yeah.
So if you go for the Trundle, it can be flex, sure, but the Alistar is just going to be picked on the other side for support. So you pick the Trundle knowing you want it, and you don't have to flex it because you really want the Alistar as well, just because you need that champion to engage for Savoki. And now you kind of end up in this situation where on red side, you've got 2 picks. You don't get to flex pick because you need to take one away from QG, and you really want the other one because it's your top laner XY who just really wants Trundle.
Oh, well, he wins on Trundle. Doesn't do so well on the Olaf Tahm Kench.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tahm Kench, I believe he may have gotten through the draft there as well.
He did.
So not going to be picked up in the early stages, but he's a huge pickup for anyone if they did want to play it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, XY did have a game on it. V also had a game on Tahm Kench. So
yeah.
Lots of options available here. Supports, I believe Savoki also played it, though he did show that he wants to be Alistar, at least in the last draft. Let's see how deep they go with this one before we get the Pantheon.
Yeah, we'll see whether that was actually a confirmed lock-in of the Pantheon Malphite. I assume it probably wasn't, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, the Tahm Kench question is interesting. Last time V played it, he got solo killed in the top lane, then teleported down and got a triple kill. And then ended up the game like 11, 2, and 7 or something like that. Yeah, just a complete nuisance. So it might happen again. Of course, against Trundle, makes things a little bit more difficult because he likes to build super tanky. That Subjugate going to be very, very strong against the Tahm Kench. So QG may step away from it. Alistar, Trundle now locked in. And I believe it is going to be the LeBlanc and the Ezreal picked up now for QG. Now the real surprise, Malphite Pantheon.
Let me just rub out the Malphite and Pantheon here.
Yeah, I have a feeling that may wreck your notes just a little bit because I have sneaking suspicion that things are going to get changed. Yeah, Victor going to be locked in. Raphael, no surprises there. Back to a tried and true favorite in that champion. He's been playing it longer than anyone here in the LPL.
Yeah, that's true.
And Lucian going to be the answer to the Ezreal. So a little bit of more aggression from PentaQ.
Yeah, so they've got themselves that wave clear mid laner. They also knew that it was going to be into LeBlanc, so comfort pick here for Raphael into a pressure-based matchup in this middle lane. Should be relatively content with that one. The real question is always going to be that bottom lane because it's poke against damage and engage.
Yeah. And we've actually seen Doimby just recently take the LeBlanc into the Victor as well. And I mean, it can go, Victor's way sometimes, but Doimby just makes it look like it's a completely ridiculous matchup in favor of LeBlanc.
Yeah. Don't know how he manages it sometimes, but this draft, if QG do choose to lock this in, would be no surprises. The only major change is the hover of Poppy at the moment, which we haven't seen from V, I believe, yet in that top lane. He's more inclined towards the tanks. So
he can build Poppy a little bit tanky, but I mean, Quinn was on the board as well. They could have gone the triple AD carry comp, which could have been very, very exciting.
That is so far from V, let's be honest.
I know. It's very, very far from his particular playstyle.
Poppy still builds tank. It's just a different type of style. You're not the Maokai or Nautilus where you have tanky type of kit.
Yep.
You actually just use damage and just try and position better with the Poppy. So that's the major difference here for V. Though we have seen his teleports are very successful so far with this QG lineup.
Oh, yeah.
Their coordination is well and truly there, so not going to be a bad pick overall.
No, I like it. We'll see whether he builds a little bit more damage-orientated as well, considering the fact that he's against the Trundle in the top lane there. So far, Master 3 thinking about their jungler, Elise being hovered at the moment. It's been a telegraph draft over the side of M3. QG sort of been able to fashion theirs as they see fit without any surprises incoming.
Yeah. I mean, like, realistically, QG just drafted what they wanted to, but so have M3. Can't really take that away from them. The only exception there is Corki, perhaps.
Yeah.
But overall, that's pretty much a draft they want.
Yeah, we'll see what the Master 3 do as we get onto the Rift. Like, use this Elise in order to stop the Graves from getting any further ahead, whether that was a strategy of theirs that they wanted to put in place, sort of pigeonhole Swift onto the Graves pickup. Of course, Swift plays a heck of a lot of other champions, but making sure that he goes for that as the strongest option.
Well, the funny thing is, Graves was banned away from Swift in his first series against LGD, so
yeah,
guy can play Graves. And
certainly can.
Really, I'm not sure if it's M3 respecting him so much to the point where they just ran out of bans for him. The other one was, of course, Rise out of necessity away from the flex between V and Doing B.
Yeah, but you'd arguably ban the Graves generally before you'd ban a Nidalee.
Not against Swift. Swift is a Nidalee main.
He is.
It's not to say that he's bad on any other champion, but his Nidalee is just above and beyond.
That's the thing that I'm talking about, though, because Graves is just so strong at the moment. In the hands of someone that's so used to playing these carry-style junglers in Swift, he probably thinks that it's just... He'd probably pick it over Nidalee in the first place.
Well, I can tell you that if I were Swift, I would be laughing at the M3 bans.
Yes.
They've given you a Poppy, they've given you a Graves, and you've got Ezreal Braum bot lane, which is great. The exception to the rule is, of course, Alistar Trundle are locked away for M3. There's a pretty scary team composition if they get to team fighting, to say the least.
Yeah, it is going to be very frightening, of course. You can see the members of the teams on your screen right now. But we'll see whether V can stand up against XY's undefeated Trundle in the top lane. Whether the bottom lanes are going to do it, but let's get on to the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, on to Summoner's Rift for M3 versus QG, our second matchup of the day. As you can see, everyone already made it to the river, just mingling about for the moment.
Just casually strolling in the water.
Yeah, getting your feet wet. Graves feeling pretty good about that. He's already having a pool party over at his place.
Thankfully, no one has boots on. That'd be awkward.
It would. It would. If this was about 3 years ago, everyone would have boots on.
Yeah. Especially the Bloodthirster stack in Katarina. That was
of course. You know, I actually never played that. That was all about the Gunblades.
So gross. Gunblades. That was... Okay, no, Gunblades was after the Bloodthirsters. Moving on. We are into the game. Of course, neutral positioning, as you mentioned, by them being in the river here from both teams. Not looking for deep invades, which generally says not looking for lane swaps.
Which is exactly the case. Neither of the sides actually going for any sort of lane swap situation.
Yeah, so no blind assumptions made by either team. They are very content with their 2v2 matchups. You would assume so, being a Lucian Alistar. Once they hit that level 2 mark, quite strong. But on the flip side, a level 1 Ezreal Braum is quite oppressive. So they have their points of power, and we'll see how they utilize them.
Yeah, and you can see both of them taking a camp there as well. Gromp going to fall, Krug's falling on the other side. So relatively even on the experience portion. Of course, Trundle not going to be in the support position, so not going to be able to be utilized for that passive. Alistar going to be just fine, though. He'll just yell about things for a while and get everyone's health back.
And trample his feet,
Yeah.
stomp around.
I'm really upset about being low.
So the cool thing about the Alistar lanes at the moment is they are generally starting the Krugs and or Gromp, and they are getting themselves to level 2 on the Alistar every single time, which unlocks the capabilities of starting with the Triumphant Roar or having the Headbutt Pulverize combo the second you get to lane. So usually in these points of power, as an example, Pico and Moore would find themselves in, the Alistar matches it, though the Lucian doesn't, and can at least keep his 80 carry in the lane.
Yeah, well, you can see Pentakill and Savoki still just chilling out, farming things out. And you mentioned the power of the level 1, so you're right, it has worked so far, as Winter's Bite is going to tag Pentakill.
It all comes back to the minions not ganging up on other minions. Just helps with your starting a camp so much more now at level 1.
You can see Swift having a fine time on his rev up at the moment. Meanwhile, in the top lane, this is a matchup that we haven't spoken about too much, the Poppy into the Trundle. I have a feeling that the range advantage for V is going to be pretty helpful.
Yeah, the small amounts of poke here and there, of course. Trundle's still going to be perfectly fine. If a champion ever had sustain, you would look to Poppy, Trundle quite quickly.
Oh yeah.
Just from a passive alone. And I mean, realistically, going for that Corrupting Potion, no way to poke a Trundle out of lane. The only reason we're seeing V control so heavily at the moment. Wow.
Oh, Raphael, the Ignite's down on top of him. Doinby, is that last auto attack going to be
later.
enough? Caster minions are there too. First blood and a solo kill for Doinby. We spoke about this before. YOLO might be in trouble at the same time as his blue buff is under fire from Swift.
This is going to be an interesting battle.
Oh, YOLO is able to grab it.
No smites on both of these junglers, so that's why that was going to be interesting. The execute from Elisa's Q secures it. And Doinby in that middle lane, Ignite and the auto attack with Corrupting Potion being activated was that extra bit of burn down that went through the potion of Raphael and secures Doinby a massive lead in this middle lane in a 1v1. Doinby, if this was last split, you wouldn't be saying he's 1v1ing everyone.
Nope, you'd be saying that he's playing Nautilus, but XY bringing it back onto V here in the top lane. Nicely done, maybe trying to get some revenge for his mid laner via the top lane.
Playing this Trundle is, oh, hello, bot lane.
Yeah, Flash Pulverized. Pekko going to get smashed away here as Elise is making her way in. YOLO looking to try and find the cocoon. Gets the flash over the top, but Swift makes his way in. YOLO picks it up somehow with a random Q. He's going to be the Q from Swift trying to do some work. Flashes out of the way of the cocoon as that slides past.
That was a lot used for an attempted second kill. Of course, Pentakill has the heal now down. Elise, Flash, Alistar Ignite, and Flash were used. Swift had to use his in response to get out, but they didn't even couple their abilities well together here, Savoki and YOLO. Kind of gifting an escape to Swift with just the one Flash.
Yeah, Doinby continuing to be so aggressive. Now has a Negatron Cloak.
Yeah.
Going for that Abyssal Scepter first. I actually really love this from a lot of mid laners that find a kill early. Investing into defensive statistics so that they can just continue to go aggressive with even more reckless abandon.
And it's amazing the trade-off here that Raphael's gone towards his Frostfang build, the Frost Queen's Claim, and hasn't upgraded his Hex Core.
Yeah.
He didn't have enough money because he was killed and had to buy something with his money that he had. It's just the way you do it. Of course, that's not going to be very efficient for his wave clear, and he's against what is now going to be a quite oppressive mid laner in Doinby.
Oh, yeah. Even if he hadn't got a solo kill, it still would have been a similar story.
He recalled again and actually upgraded it to the Frostfang now, so wave clear not going to be there for Raphael this early in the game.
Gets to his mana regen a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and he's also going to generate money if he's not last hitting minions, which is entirely possible given what he's building.
That's very true. Pekko, you can see, just throwing out Qs, trying to stack this tier. Misses a cannon creep, which is just awful to see. Very, very sad.
Robbed.
Yeah, you can see Doinby continuing this push forward. But Raphael's going to grab this creep wave when it hits his turret, so he'll be feeling fine.
Could get flanked here more. Needs to be a little bit careful. It's just a pink ward. You relax.
Yeah, calm down. Should be fine. Doinby throws out the full combo, half of the health of Raphael. Doinby uses the rest of his mana for it.
Yeah, that's the issue now, though. Doinby you would assume recall very soon after this next wave. Or he has to pop his Corrupting Potions just to have mana in this lane, because he's gone Negatron and he's still out trading, but in a sustain battle with all the potions and the Frostfang that Raphael has, kind of works out for him.
Should be fine. YOLO speeding himself up here in the river. You can see Pink Ward on the bottom side of the mid lane.
Moore wants that Pink Ward so desperately.
I think everyone does.
Oh, speaking of Pink Wards.
Yeah, YOLO going to spot this one out as he makes his way in for a potential gank. Doinby was very safe before, as Swift is here at the same time. They are going to defend it, as Doinby's actually gone aggressive onto Raphael. His Ignite's down. We'll see what happens here in the mid lane. Peko, though, is going to die on the bottom side as picks up the kill. Side of the... Makes his way in. This is just ridiculous. His teleports have been so much better. The ultimate for the disengage then as well, as both of the teleports came down.
His ult was great there, V. His engage was great, and the teleport, as you mentioned, was wonderful. But that was just so perplexing from Pico. Not entirely sure what his strategy was with that E into the Alistar. That doesn't save you.
I think you could hear it in my voice. I did actually have no idea what was going on. It's quite strange. Well, Chaos Storm going to go down onto Swift, who loses a lot of his health bar.
Raphael's going to regret that. Yeah. He now no longer has his ultimate in a lane against Doinby. And it's a decently long cooldown against a LeBlanc ultimate, so that lane just got a little bit harder simply from pressing your R key.
Has bought himself some time, might be able to go back and at least upgrade that Hex Core now so that he can start clearing out minion waves.
And one other big factor to remember is this is the Balmy Cinder completed for V, so the wave clears there. The lane control is always going to be there now. And more opportunities to roam without having to use that teleport, especially once those boots of swiftness come through.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can see XY moving towards his Titanic Hydra.
Yeah.
You'll see whether he continues with that or whether he goes the Ravenous route. I do like it.
Well, they have to complete the Titanic with what he has now. The change is the smart part, because your laning phase is that much better with the build path of a Titanic. It's so difficult to go Tiamat into lifesteal and expect to be fine.
Yeah.
I think the better thing... Oh, what the hell doing we?
Okay, well, Cocoon's going to come out. Moore has to eat a culling at the same time. He's dead. Pentacue gets it delivered as the headbutt comes in to facilitate. Nicely played from M3, turning into a 2-3 game.
Yeah. This bottom lane from QG is struggling. M3 have really put the pressure on. And this is all on the back of YOLO, working with Savoki to get those engages. This Braum's just not tanky enough yet.
Yeah, we were talking about Savoki being the guy that needs to be making the moves happen for M3, and it looks like it's already happening. 0-0-3 for the cow. Does in fact have the mobility boots there as well as XY, struggling to trade against the shield of V.
And he's got the minion stack here, V. And lane control just by clearing that ward entirely. So no answer available from YOLO in the jungle, no answer available from XY in the lane. He's going to have to come down here and pressure though, but Swift knows in advance which lane is winning and which lane he wants to focus to start a snowball. He's actually looking towards V, and you would have to assume Doinby, to be fair, to carry this game through. They've got a utility bottom lane at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because they can lose their bottom lane and be perfectly fine.
Well, this is the thing. Peko just really wants to be able to kite things around, be that extra utility for his team, like you said. Doinby, though, still putting the hurt down on Raphael, who had to get a Negatron cloak, still hasn't upgraded that Hex Core, Rusty.
Yeah. I don't know how much he wants to wave clear. I guess by not upgrading your Hex Core, you're only losing a bit of scaling and a tiny bit of wave clear, so it isn't crazy when you want to get pushed in. You don't want to actually control the LeBlanc because you literally can't.
Well, speaking of which, Swift was thinking that they had enough burst damage just to kill him in one rotation there by dashing over that wall. You can see he's still hanging around. Red buff in hand, almost has the Warrior Enchantment completed, and you can see Raphael's playing so far back. He wants none of it.
I think Swift just showed himself for a brief moment to freak Raphael out.
Well, certainly would have worked.
You can tell that it's working because he's like permanent goosebumps level. Doesn't want anything to do with it because he will die. You saw the burst that just came out of Doinby, and that was just 2 spells, and it was his Q. LeBlanc's usually max W.
Yeah, it was the QR. Even when Doinby used his Mimic Distortion to close distance, it was working out. But XY managing to get it back here on V. The Chomp's gone down there as well as he moves out of the way of the Q. V has to be very careful, and they have actually been pressured out of this lane.
So it was the Trundle ultimate use, which is a massive detail in why that fight went so successfully for XY. The thing with V is always going to have sustain anyway, just from having the corrupting potions. Hadn't used all of the stacks of it just yet. And honestly, we'll still have control of this lane. V has his teleport, so he can just wait for till he has enough money. I would assume for the Sunfire Cape. May go for Boots of Swiftness instead, and then look to come back to lane by walking really swiftly.
Yeah.
And be fine.
Move pretty fast back to the lane. No problem at all. You're right, Subjugate did go down, but XY, I mean, that ultimate doesn't have a very high cooldown, so already 2/3 of the way up. So next time XY wants to go aggressive, he can. As Doinby once again lands the chains this time. The Ignite's down. There's the gravity field. YOLO comes around, but Swift may be able to pick this kill up. Repel's used, and YOLO thankfully has good position. But Raphael in trouble. Doinby picks up the kill. The Ignite's there, but it's not going to kill the LeBlanc. Always aggressive all the time.
Even the Ezreal ult was used as basically to secure that kill, just in case Doinby didn't do the damage, but Corrupting Potion again was enough to secure him with an auto attack. These two in the top lane butting heads over and over. V actually out-sustaining because of the mana difference between these two. And Xiaogu winning through the middle lane this time.
Yeah. And XY, once again, he used the ult. Subjugate now on cooldown. Oh, Heroic Charge is going to be here. V finds it against the turret. Swift has the damage. Yeah, Super has the damage. As that combination is just ridiculous. The end of the line against a turret after the Heroic Charge for the stun.
Well, he did walk
better
himself next to the turret.
He did.
Kind of mind-gamed himself into a better position, which is actually a worse position against Poppy, especially when there's a Graves to, as you said, couple the wallbang spells.
Yeah, the double wallbang, man.
Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah,
rough from XY.
You just needed a vein. Oh, how did that chain even land onto Raphael? Doinby threading the needle here in the mid lane.
We don't ask questions at this stage.
No.
And even like right now, the Abyssal Scepter is being completed from Raphael before he upgrades his Hex Core. It's just frustrating me to watch.
I know. It's so sad.
Just get the wave clear. He's got no utility besides the wave clear. He's even gone for the refillable potion just because he wants to be more efficient with his items.
Yeah, because he's needed to buy so many.
Yeah. And he bought that later in the laning phase. Have to go corrupting.
Very strange. YOLO, though, is going to be able to at least get the cocoon down onto Doinby, but takes a large percentage of his health bar in doing it.
So
Red buff under fire. Swift makes his way over, of course, sees YOLO for 1 second and is already inside the jungle, trying to steal that one away. Traffic cone goes down. XY says, "Get out of my jungle."
I don't think it really deterred him from getting out of any jungles.
No, I mean, he said it. not listening.
He yelled at him. He said, "Get out." And he put a pillar up. It was a traffic cone that said you shouldn't actually go here.
See? There's obviously something going on.
The
Please
hooligan
don't be here.
Swift. It's illegal. There's a traffic cone there, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, I think that's when XY says, "I'm not paid enough for this," and leaves. Well, Doinby goes aggressive for a moment, but they just want to secure this turret. Going to do so very easily. Graves, if he brings anything to a lane, it is turret damage, or just damage in general. As the distortion lands one more time. V may need to hit the turret maybe once in order to get rid of that one. XY, though, is going to start his maneuver away from it because he knows things are going wrong. And so far, these solo lanes are just dominating on the side of QG.
Yeah. About 30-odd CS in the lead for V. 40 in favor of Doinby with 2 kills to boot, so roughly 60 to 70 in the lead. Jagu winning through their solo lanes. You don't often see V do this.
No.
You generally see him play a tank and teleport to bottom lane and get them going. But what he did was he teleported bottom, got himself going.
Yeah, or teleported to bottom, helped them get moving, you know, and then still managed to win the lane. Didn't even matter. Of course, XY made his way down as well. QG gathering a leash there as YOLO is going to start that one off, but picks it up for themselves. Moore and Swift just going to be taking this one down. 16 minutes into the game for the first dragon here as YOLO still hanging around. Clearing out a minion for now, but... Oh, the reset. No, did not full reset. We're fine.
Dragons. Yeah. So deceptive sometimes.
Yeah.
Of course, that is the dragon. It's almost like a slow game here from M3. They don't want to commit too hard to anything. And honestly, it's because they're on the back foot.
Yeah, they can't. They've been on the back foot almost this whole game, ever since Doinby got that first kill. Jagu just looked to be unlocked at the moment.
And it's not a massive surprise either to have QG with such a commanding lead, especially through that middle lane. Doinby has been quite impressive so far in this split of the LPL. The real surprise is always going to be V, being able to carry. It's something that we have very rarely seen from this guy, except when he plays Hecarim in the last clip.
Yeah. Definitely looking so much more versatile now as well, and it's not like it's only the Poppy now that we look back. It's just ridiculous. And yeah, you're right. This lane just looks, it's a slaughter.
It's laning phase. Like, he's still just laning and winning. And no one can do anything about it because Swift stalks around the right places, keeps a track of YOLO, and Poppy is just controlling Trundle.
Well, Trundle now going to be moving towards the mid lane. Pings go down from QG because they've got a lot of vision.
Yeah.
And Doinby now going to move towards the bottom side.
Oh, no.
Oh, this
Still
is cheeky. Haha. Very nice scrying orb.
I think M3 watched that game.
They did.
They saw Xiaohu do Xiaohu things and said, oh, no, not this time. But, of course, that is dangerous to consider. LeBlanc being able to sit in bushes and cheese.
Oh, the culling goes down, but there is a Swift waiting in the wings. It's going to be very scary for M3 now because that's a lot of damage in the bottom lane. Savoki has the ultimate, who should be okay.
Oh,
there's
wow.
the flash forward. Headbutt's going to be there, but the knock-up from the Glacial Fissure is going to be enough to stop it. Doinby finds his way in around the backside. Swift locks down the kill onto Savoki. It is going to be XY grabbing more as the trade continues. Pantyq gets smacked up into the air just to delay the inevitable for a moment when he falls down. V going to pick up that kill as Peko. He's trying to run away from YOLO. Raphael's just going to get destroyed by V, who's having the game of his life right now. Oh, wishes he had the heroic charge for the Spider Lady, but I have a feeling he's still going to fall down. Red buff's there, wants to grab Swift on his way through, but that's definitely not happening. 9-4 now in favor of QG, and these guys, looks like it's not stopping, Rusty. They're still looking so good.
That was clinical. It was just so simple for them to execute the dive. LeBlanc rotates faster, he's controlling mid lane, and V is monstrously ahead of this Trundle. So just comes in, dives, no regard
No
for
regard at all.
M3's existence. The tower doesn't even exist on his radar either. And Reckless abandoned, but so appropriately so. Just because Xiaogu, honestly, they find their lead through laning phase right now against M3. And they continue with it. This dive, we're going to see it again, is Savoki actually tries to turn it around onto Swift, but Moore's ultimate, this is one thing that Moore is exceptional with, denying the headbutt with his own knockup. Swift stays alive, and Pico, of course, saving that E to get out safely. Doinby makes his way in, V makes his way in, and this is where it starts to become lights out for this M3 roster, as Doinby stayed on that flank. Raphael doesn't actually hit many spells and basically just goes down. Barely uses, I don't even think he uses his ultimate, he just dies in the very end here from V. And yep.
Well, the ultimate was down there, it was just hanging out.
Yeah. It was just so easy here. YOLO desperately tries to turn it back around, but V somehow has mana, even though it looks like he doesn't.
Ooh. Speaking of looking like he didn't, it looks at the moment like Savoki doesn't have any health. As we make our
Wow!
What the hell? Okay, they don't have a jungler either. Don't even worry about it.
That was insane! The damage from Swift just destroyed him!
Well, he's got a more of
crap.
Malmortius as well as that warrior enchantment on his jungle item. Oh man, he's just doing so much damage.
That was... This is the story of the game right now for M3.
Yep.
They're like helpless children with life vests on waiting in a deep pool.
They are. I think.
That's a weird comparison.
It was a very weird comparison, but I like it. I mean, I can't not because I'm pretty much the worst at making up analogies anyway.
But it makes sense, I guess.
It does.
We'll
it
go
does.
with it. QG pushing the bottom.
The floaties. Savoki just taking so much damage here as well. Does have the Unbreakable Will if they want to turn something around, but even now, with Unbreakable Will, I feel like Savoki would still take far too much damage and die.
Well, he's the only one that won't once he hits level 11. At the moment, still going to take an abundance of damage, particularly from Swift with his high burst, and Doinby with the same, if not more burst, and different types, so physical and magical across the board here.
Oh my goodness, that's a full combo from Doinby as Moore just tanks up a full culling with his door. Almost looks too easy. No, it's a chair. You know, serving the same purpose at this stage. Almost said porpoise. Stuff's not working, Rusty. But things are for QG because they are sieging this inner turret on the bottom side of the map because they can. 22 minutes into the game, 10-4. And they almost have that 10,000 gold lead. Oh my god, Peko!
Wow!
Picks it up with a true shot barrage as Raphael's dead as well. That was fantastic coordination as Doinby and Peko set that one up. Doinby then shoots himself forward. They grab the turret. And M3 are in shambles. There is nothing they can do. And QG, they are playing so exceptionally well. Or are they just playing as they normally do, Rusty? I'm not entirely sure, but it's definitely both right now.
This game just feels too easy right now for Thiago. There's nothing M3 can do, no matter how hard they try. Finally, Raphael has got that Hex core upgraded, so someone's got some wave clear here for M3. I was getting a bit concerned they'd never have any. And I mean, realistically, even the synergy there between the Ezreal ultimate picking up a kill with Doinby's burst, I don't even think they would have coordinated that. They just did it.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
So insulting as well. Swift saves his ultimate, uses it to clear a wave before they recall.
Yeah.
It's not even that the stars have aligned. I just don't think M3 know how to deal with this pressure.
Oh, I don't know what you do against this side at the moment. Chago just looks so incredibly strong.
Well, you don't let them get to the stage they're at now. I think once QG are at this point, this far ahead, 11k at 22 minutes, I think they're just KDA padding, essentially.
Well, it's working. Savoki actually having to deal with Doinby now, as he does have the Mimic Distortion to go back to. Is going to head back there now. Savoki in trouble. Is going to get stunned. Pekka grabs it with a Mystic Shot. Just seems to be the 1-2 punch of the mid laner and AD carry, securing a lot of these kills, or at least 2 of them.
And again, I said KDA padding. It feels a bit like that because QG can just command their way around the map, control the vision, catch M3 every single time they try and ward something. Now they can look towards the Baron. You almost wish there was a fantasy league for the LPL because you just have all 5 QG members.
Think about the points you would get.
Now they're sitting in the bush, just waiting. Again, controlling the vision. They know exactly where M3 are.
Yeah,
if they're not in vision, they're in their base.
Yeah. Not many other opportunities, and this is oppressive vision as well. It's like there's a line. It's like the Berlin Wall of vision right now.
The line keeps moving forward, though.
It does. I don't think the Berlin Wall did that. Repel gonna come out. Gravity Field goes down there as well.
Wow.
Oh, True Shot Barrage just misses as far as the timing is concerned. Raphael now with his big CC cooldown unavailable. QG look to try and press forward, but not going to find too much. And Swift, he's heading towards the Baron. V heading towards the bottom lane. Doinby heading towards the enemy team. Of course, it looks like he doesn't mind about it too much. He may die here. Gets picked up by Raphael. Over-aggression just a little bit from Doinby as QG now looking to try and disengage. Traffic cone going to be there, but not going to be enough
I honestly,
to lock them down.
Honestly don't think QG cares.
It's Swift's turn. He's just going to pick up the mid laner. Collateral damage does a lot of damage, Rusty. Does a lot of damage.
The word collateral just doesn't even feel right at the moment.
No.
Straight up just rename it to damage.
Yeah, just call it damage.
He just, a bit less than half health, I will say. Raphael doesn't have a whole lot of health to speak of in his kit. Hasn't worked
Certainly
towards
he's got none now.
Hasn't worked towards the Rylai's yet. But destroyed. Swift is doing so much damage. Even with Doinby dead, QG do not care. They're just walking their way around this map, taking everything in front of them.
Yeah, like they own the place, Rusty. Doinby, of course, putting his face into the enemy team didn't quite work so well. The Swift showing that the tactic does have its merit.
Might with a death cap, I think is what he's going to say next.
Yeah, well, Distortion enchantment there as well, so he can be flashing around these fights a little bit more. Augment that Luden's Echo. XY looking to try and go aggressive onto V, who doesn't get the stun. XY wants to be fighting on his own turf. You can see that. He's like, yeah, look at my ground. Able to get the work done. But look at V.
Yeah.
He's so strong.
XY thought he had that. He thought he was winning that first trade, and you kind of get a damage assessment every time you buy an item. That is what every laner does. We all do it.
Yep.
You buy a new item, like, I wonder how much I do now. He was feeling great, and then realized that V still does more than him, so not so great.
And takes far less, I think, is the problem. As he's now underneath a turret, not a lot is happening. Traffic cone does go down, but he doesn't get stopped by it. As Lollipoppy, once again, demanding a lot of attention here on the bottom side of the map.
And the question is always going to be, when's QG just going to do that Baron? Doinby, of course, poking his way around, utilizing that vision. Back and forth between bottom and mid, and then we'll just go straight to top. And I think once we see Doinby not on the bottom side of the map is when they'll actually look at that Baron as an objective.
A lot of pings on top of Doinby now as well. It seems like M3, if they want to have a tag on anyone, it is going to be that player. As YOLO takes a lot of damage from that Q from Pekka. As Panther Q in trouble. Swift collateral damage one more time. Sorry, damage comes out for huge burst. Savoki gets stunned. The ultimate's there. Decent pulverized, but he's delaying the inevitable at this stage. You can see that Unbreakable Will needs a name change itself. As Doinby still just playing interference on the rest of the team. Finds his way over, repels there. Nowhere to go, though. The heroic charge comes down, smacked into the sky as Doinby wants his cooldowns back up. Dead. May have been baited, is going to be, as V says sorry to his mid laner. YOLO gets out. V just moving through, gets the stun, and Peko will be able to secure this one. And I think QG probably have this one in the bag. Swift says, guys, come on. We got a video game to win.
Objectives, guys, objectives. Doinby is actually just... I feel like he's just trolling his team. Refuses to group, only trying to get kills, and it still doesn't matter because that lead, I feel like they're just going for the record for the highest gold lead before they end the game. They're not far off, as not a single turret has been taken by M3, not a single dragon has been looked at by M3, and all they have is 6 kills, which is just generally QG making mistakes on purpose.
Mistakes that maybe aren't even mistakes in the end, Rusty.
Intentional hiccups.
Yeah, intentional hiccups. Have you ever had those? I've never asked my body for hiccups before. Never been able to get there.
Well, they're just like, it's like speeding over a road bump.
Yeah, that's true.
You do it on purpose.
Yeah, cool, cool, cool. Well, 15,000 gold is the lead at the moment as far as that record is concerned. If they're aiming for it. Don't know what the record is for largest gold lead ever.
Not a clue.
Yeah, would like to know. In fact, you can send it to us on Twitter if you guys do know what the
Tweet it at SpawnLol.
Yeah, at SpawnLol, if you want to get this guy. At Pastry Time, if you want me.
Close enough.
Yeah.
QG, of course, 18-6 is the scoreline. Gold lead's not going to change anytime soon as they're playing the Vision battle one more time.
A battle that M3 are not doing so well in at the moment. Raphael now does have at least a couple of upgrades to his Hex core, as Moore not going to get stunned by the gravity field, and M3 still holding on. But there's this Baron, the two-man Baron, is going down very quickly. YOLO repels there, gets in, but doesn't get the steal. That was very close as Culling comes down. Pentakill and Raphael, you guys need to run. I don't need to tell you because you know that things are a problem. Skill shot's not going to land. XY looking for a flank, but in the end, whoa, picks up Doinby out of nowhere. Steric's gauge goes off. He's taking a lot of damage, though, and M3, they're fighting on a couple of different fronts. And XY has fallen down. Moore tags him. True Shot Barrage comes in, picks up the kill, does Swift as the cow falls down.
11, 0, and 1 is Swift right now.
God.
He wants to end this game. Doinby, you need to calm down and let your team finish. Moore's just stopping them from recalling.
Well, Pentakill's dead. Peko flashes forward. Raphael's going to be in a lot of trouble. By that I mean he is. But Swift says, I'm winning the game, team. You guys have stopped playing seriously, and I'm just going to take this Nexus down. And he is